Okay, we're live. All right, looks like the mic is on. Got the little red light. All right, may have to adjust the camera as we go along. All right, yeah, we're here. I'm alive. All right. Hi. Um, this is the YouTube channel, the Schumann Resonances with Verde. I am your host, Verde Abusto. Thank you for being here. If you're new, please remember, welcome. Welcome. First, welcome. And please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And if it's not too much difficulty, hit the notification bell, select all, or you will likely get none of the notifications. And I'm not just saying that. Uh, if you don't interact with the channel, YouTube will just kind of forget your association with this channel or any other channel. So it's important for you to interact, and by hitting the notification bell, you become part of the fellowship, if you will. Okay, I think I'm all set now. I do these on the fly. This is, seat of the pants broadcasting, if you will. And pardon all the ums. I realize I'm throwing those out. I don't mean to. And I will work to endeavor not to say as many. You have to realize when people say they're giving someone a chance to think on our end. And so it's like, instead of having dead air, it's, kind of, so it's sort of the science behind the mental science behind that. So I'm including you in on the thought-making process. All right, so it is 9 a.m., 9:18 a.m. On the 24th of October, the month of my birth. Thank you for being here. Again, if you're new, welcome. And even if you're not new, even if you've been around for a while, thank you for being here too. The 10 of you, the terrific 10. As always, I appreciate you being here. Uh, Bradley, Jacqueline, Jackie, Julie, Pam, Trish, and a bunch of you wages as well, who go to make this a special thing for me. Okay, thank you all for being here. All right, so it's a rainy day, so I figured I'd dash one of these off. These sections should hopefully take about an hour each, give or take the music. There may be an extra 20 minutes of music to drag it over into an hour and 20 minutes or whatever, but I'm trying to make these about an hour in length, and just explain what's going on. And so even though this is my writing, I take credit for it being my writing. I certainly can't credit anyone else. Uh, I do meditate a lot on these, and I do give you the word and the work of my guides, my spirit guides, uh, who are here to help not just me, but you as well, if you care for the help. Uh, it's I'm whatever is revealed to me, I'm supposed to share with you all. So that's kind of what some of these videos are, is that I know what I know because I've asked. I need to know, uh, and I have a different perspective on stuff because I'm asking God. I'm asking the source, please explain these things to me, especially because especially where, and especially because the majority of humans don't really know what's going on, and everyone's got their bit that they know, and I'm fine with listening to that. Like, tell me, I'm fine with listening to that. But at the end of the day, the humans don't really have the bigger picture of what's happening. Whereas, because I ask, my guides tell me what's happening. Um, and it's because I need to know. Like I said, I need to know. And part of it is because I the humans can't tell me, and if I don't know, I'll go crazy. I humbly submit that to you, that is a reason. It is, in my case, a very real reason that y'all got to tell me, because I'm otherwise going nuts. Because, everyone's looking for answers. The humans don't know, so you tell me. And then, as luck would have it or whatever, you get some right answers from God and they tell you, and then other people want to know. And so it's like, all right, please, guys, God, I'm not just asking this for myself. Other people would like to know as well. So please give me a clear, concise idea of what's going on. And so I'm going to propose that to you right now here as our quest, as our prayer for this this session here, this section, that we are we get shown that it is revealed to us the knowledge that you would have for us. God, my guides, please stay with us. Please, make things open for us. Why am I doing this? What does this really mean? What's the purpose of me doing this? Right? Because I'm reading through this and I'm like, this is all my opinion, kind of, sort of. There's not much facts here that I can refer to from research, which most of this is different from. This is like what you call the metaphysical or philosophical side of it. The etheric technicians work here. All right, that's what this is. And so, I'm like, my channel is a fact-based channel. I explain how to read the Schumann resonances from a fact-based, an experiential-based perspective, from the technician, someone who's actually worked in radio, right? Like, you got to get the technical, practical, hands-on, real explanation of what this is. There's no joke about this. If you want to know, you need to know technically what this stuff is. I'm happy to do that. This particular reading right here, all of this, and the ones that I've done in this, the changing of the guard, this is the metaphysical, but this is the, this is the etheric technician's work here. And so I ask of my guides that it makes sense to me, even more sense to me as I do this, because I'm revealing this to you all for the purposes of, it's part of my mission, but part of what no one else is able to provide for you, right? Because I'm going from, a higher source beyond humans, and this is what can't be provided elsewhere by the humans, unless they themselves meditate to the source, right? And that's open to you. However, you don't do it the way I do it. You don't consider it the way I do it. It's just different, right? Based on my own experiences, I get different results because I follow a different process, put it that way. But I have also given you the process I use as well, right? So that's part of what me doing these is I explain to you the guiding principles I use so you yourself can use it. Right? So on that cheery note, I'm going to 8:10 into it. I'm going to do music now, I think. So this is I was doing the video last night on the characters involved, the last section on this, and Aaron stopped by and dropped off a brand new, fresh, hot off the mix last night while I was doing it, which was just apropos. It was just actually perfectly timed in place as I'm talking about the characters, Stevens and Catherwood and Thompson. Aaron, one of the other characters in all this big drama, shows up. So it just seemed appropriate. So brand new, fresh, hot off the turntable mix for you guys now. It was fresh off the turntable, but I got one song out of it. So this is the new. I'm going to play through as much of this as I can. Put it down. All right. So on the cheery note, that wonderful introduction, my official DJ introduction to this. There we go. All right. So Oh, and I want to mention, all right, I need to mention that this right here, where is it? This right here is Jose Aguila's. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that. This is the work called The Mayan Factor. All right, it's important to mention. I'm going through a lot of literature on the Mayan, the Mayans, Mayan stuff, and all of that. So I just, because it's up there, I want you to know that, and it seems important. I haven't really mentioned it before, and it's up there, so it's important for you guys to know what I think. Sorry, sorry about that. This is a good mix. If I could just be a DJ all day long. All right. Let's turn it down. Turn it back. All right. Let's get back to the back to the hip hop. Back to the class here. Back to the reading material. Back to work. All right, there we go. That was, I don't know, 5 minutes worth of it. All right. I'll save you the boring part of me having to figure out how long that was. 5, actually, that. Yeah, see, I can't even, because I didn't have it playing for part of that. Anyway, onward and upward. We're still recording, still live. All right, so, so this right here, like I said, this is coming from my guides for you guys, right? For me, I need to know, but just because I know, like, I still got to share it with you guys. And part of the thing is, like, it's not just true for me, but like with all of us who do channeling, like outside, I'm not channeling anything, but like that, who go to a higher source and bring it down, like, it's part of it is we're translating it through our own experience, right? So even if it's not just me, but it's someone like us who, someone like me who does this, there's a part of it that I think that a lot of us realize we're translating it into a language you can understand, right? There's people that are kind of in this to con you, who don't really think this way, who have taken other people's scholarship, we'll say, other people's work, and they've tried to use it for their own, and they don't, like, that's not the people I'm talking about. But those of us who have a legitimate gift, we are, we're trying to make it so the other people, those of you who are not so disposed to get this information, you can't go to the same guides that we can because you don't have the same relationship. You haven't been, developing it, right? So it's you could, but you haven't been, right? It's part of what this is that, the people who are furthest along have to help the ones who are new, and not just say, oh, I'm not say I'm better because this and that, but this is how I did it, and let me present it to you so you can yourself follow this process and get the same results that I have, right? But you got to do the work, and that's part of the thing. And a lot of people don't know what the work is, and blah blah blah, and that's a whole different discussion altogether, right? So that's part of what I'm here doing, helping people, is to figure out not just what the work is, but how to go about it. How do I do it, right? How how am I doing it? And so I think by the same extension, what do I know? Why do I know it? Because I need to know it, because it's time, but also to help other people to kind of digest what's happening. Like, go to the rest of the world. They can provide you with whatever explanations they do, and if it's fine for you, it's fine. Like, I'm not trying to transplant anyone's end of the world scenario, but if you want to know the etheric technician, I talk with guides, God, like, spirit guidance that's not from here. Because I'm not from here. And it's just that simple. I ask them back home what's going on, and they have a much better sense of the overall picture of what's going on here than the people, the little ants and little residents here who don't really, they just don't have a good sense of what's happening in the global, the historic perspective, let's say, for lack of a better way to put it. Anyway, so planetary reset. All right. So as part of what's happening, I get to address the reset. So we've talked about the Mayan calendar and the discussion of the end of the world, the end of the universe, therefore the end of the world scenario. The world is part of the universe. Obviously, if the universe is ending, the world is as well. But what does that mean? Generally speaking, what does that mean for us on an everyday level? And I've made the claim that we're getting close to the end, and it's time to consider what that is actually truly saying. Uh, it's like we had time back when they found it, but the time for time is kind of come and gone. And so now it's time for work to get your clearing done and get uh, your clearing done. The end of the year clearing. I'll put it that way. Um, so so this is in the effort to help with your clearing, so that you can move on to the next phase in the development in our evolution, your evolution, our evolution. Um, so so the planetary reset, like there's two tracks. Like the Piscean age is not quite done yet, right? Like just because the Aquarian age has officially started, the the last holdouts, like there's an overlap period. Like I've explained this before, but it's relevant again now. There's an overlap period of a few hundred years to a few thousand years, depending on what it is we're talking about, where it takes to ramp up into the new age to get that going efficiently when its time has started, so that it's going when its time to begin has begun. And then there's the closeout at the end of the old one. There's a closeout where everything is still being taken off the stage, even while the other one is at work, is working. Right? And so that's important to know and important to understand that some of what's happening now is for the closeout of the Piscean age, and that's the two fishes. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to get translated into the two fishes, one pointing one way, one pointing the other way. The duplicitousness, the cover story, the there's a lot of factors to it. The um the if it's of the previous age, it has to keep going. It's most things are trying to keep themselves going, even though it's past time. And so in a lot of cases, a cover story has to be manufactured and maintained to allow that thing to operate under the Piscean protocol. Not sure if that explains things the best way, but that's the best way I can explain it to you. Okay, so 24:12 into it, we finally get into the material. All right, so um uh our solar system is one many is one of many in the Milky Way, in our galaxy. All of which revolves around a central sun. The size of the central sun is beyond imagination. So, I mean, even within, our own, within the course of the galaxy, to get between our soul sun and the central sun, there's a number of, like, I don't know, billions of suns, whatever it is. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of certainly millions. Hard to fathom, but the galaxy is our galaxy alone is a rather large place, and there's lots of suns, but the one at the middle you just can't conceive of how big it is. You take the orbit of Pluto around the sun, and that size of that, is even smaller than the size of the central sun. You know, the width of Pluto's orbit, the furthest one out, or even uh, the asteroid belt or whatever you have. That's like even that is still smaller than the central sun. It's just amazing. It's a beyond beyond imagination. I beg it. Sorry. That it is that around which our solar system and all the rest of them that we can see, spin in an orbit. Right. It all moves around the central sun. Right. The center part of the galaxy is where the majority of stuff in the galaxy actually happens. And under the veil, you don't know. You got to ask. I don't know. I've asked. And they tell me that's closer to where I'm from originally is the central sun rather than this solar system. And believe me, this solar system is way flung out in the far reaches, the netherland of the galaxy. This arm of the galaxy is relatively sparse of astrological bodies and neighbors, with Earth's system flung way out in the netherlands of one of the spiral arms of the galaxy, way out in the swamp, so as to cause as least of damage as possible. On this planet, we are truly isolated and alone in a very real sense because we are on the spiral arm of the galaxy, disconnected from the rest of the galaxy, relative to what's going on in the rest of the region. Change is the only constant. This right here is a time of monumental change for all of the Earth, all of the solar system, not just humans. It's important to understand that. A shift is seemingly happening right before our very eyes. I'm not the only one noticing this happening, although some of it is more obvious and more evident, so that even people like on YouTube, John Q. Public, just the average everyday person, you see videos of people that are putting out there like it's just everything is upside down, and you just keep seeing that more and more and more and more and more. I don't know about you, average people, not just the freaks and the nuts who are into the this whole ascension thing, but people who aren't. And that's what's more fun about it, is the people who aren't into this ascension thing or the spiritual growth or whatever, blah blah blah. They're noticing it. They're asking, why is everything upside down and all this crazy shit happening? It's a wonderful time to be alive. And everyone wants to know. So that's like I'm not the only one noticing this. I just happen to be able to put it in a lucid way so that you can understand it relative to the bigger picture. And the Mayans here, like they're explaining that to you from their perspective, the galactic morphogenic perspective of the holographic nature of the DNA. That's kind of what we're looking at here. It is not that the planet herself has ended, right? Or that the universe it has, ended as such, although some believe we are now entering the new Earth, right? Some think that it's kind of a thing now, although, without knowing where people are at, I realize there are a lot of people living in La La Land, Loompa Land, and I don't want to dissuade them from their I can't really. It's hard for me to dissuade them from their illusion that we're in new Earth. Like, okay, sure, fine, why not? If you're able to keep that illusion going, who would I be to stand in your way, right? It seems almost an act of health and wellness to let them have their view that they're now in the new Earth. Right? I mean, it's going to be there at some point. How would I know this one from the next one? Right? There's a lot of beautiful things of this place. And so that's kind of what this discussion is. It's up for everyone for themselves to see and figure out. Right? Uh, my guides, however, kind of tell me that we're not in the new Earth until the dust finally settles and the planetary reset. So there is a physical a series of some things that are going to happen, and especially if we're talking about the great solar flash, right? Like that's part of. I don't know, like all these things seem to be piecemeal. They seem to be a Garanimals approach, right? And I can't talk for anyone else. I can't speak about anyone else's uh, viewpoint or their opinion. I can't speak for anyone else. I can't talk on behalf of anyone's, uh, beliefs and their opinions. Like this stuff here. Uh, um, like I try and stick with the I statements. Me. This is what I know. This is what I can prove. This is my thing. All right. So, uh, but it's important to mention that like, all right, I'm part of this, like it or not. I'm part of this kind of movement because I'm explaining to people the metaphysical and the etheric view, and as we move into the Aquarian age, just there's more and more stuff that I'm suited for answering, that I came here to address, to talk with people about. Right? This is coming into the work I'm really truly supposed to be doing here, is to help people figure out what's shit from Shinola, if you will. Right? So I know what I know from a little different perspective. That's the greater the worldview, um, and I was supposed to help guide people through what's happening from the cyclical. This is all part of the cycle viewpoint. Uh, it's different. It's difficult. People aren't trained to think in the way necessary to encapsulate what's happening. I'll put it that way. It's not part of the training, part of the conditioning, the myths, the creation myths. Yeah, you call them myths or whatever. The stories that we have that are there to help us to navigate these times have been plucked out of society, and they've been canceled. Everything's been erased. It's like the traditional stuff that was there it was there to help people in these transitions, has been removed and vilified. I can't even. I don't even have the words across the board to explain the cancellation, the shitification process of all this traditional knowledge and wisdom that was to help people at this time, at this very fucking time. So, new order comes in, and it's either imposition of the old order and the Piscean age, new shiny new fish, or you ask God to please help us, because everything's been washed away up to this point that's supposed to be helping us. So please, your grace, please help us, because the people are clueless. They're absolutely fucking clueless. They're beyond clueless. They're willfully ignorant and stupid, and proud of their ignorant stupidity. God, comma, that's what I see down here, period. If you will, please help change that view. However, in view of that never thing happening, please just tell me what I need to know, God, so I'm not going crazy. Thank you. I appreciate that. Your emissary here, the last emissary to the swamp. So, thank you, Your Grace. I appreciate the answers you give me. So, what they tell me is that there's a shift going on, but that's your pole shift. That which drags with it a state of consciousness that awakens, that awares of itself being dragged in the wake of a shifting polarities. Like polarities are, as the magnetic field goes slack, the polarities become slack. They're not as obvious and they're not as defined. And in the middle of this the slack period here, you get the in between slop. If it's not one, it's not the other, and of people dealing with the slop. And I humbly submit to you that gender dysphoria and the psychosis that comes with dealing with that is one of the hermetic principles that's getting loosened, unhinged. I'm not sure what the word is. But like all of that has to go through its process, and it's not going to be, the humans of their own aren't going to fix it or make it better. They don't know how to. They're being dragged behind the mechanics, dragged behind the material reality of the planet shifting. And it's shifting its polarity. It's shifting its direction of travel. The current is moving. It's slackening, but then it's going to reverse direction. Right? It's part of it as well. And you can see now sort of what's happening. You can project sort of more of this along the line. I mean, it's just everything has to break down completely, fully, totally break down before it can get restarted in the new direction. That's the best way to put it. So, no, we're not in New Earth yet because it hasn't thoroughly, totally broken down. Because, how do I know that? Because there's still a woke agenda attacking everything that's substantial. The planetary reset is necessary to basically stop the administrative governmental rest that's being unfurled upon the world. Not sure what. I'll have to get back to you on that. I'm not sure what I meant by that. All right. Truly, the world that I was born into over 52 years ago, calendar round, I love that. 54 years ago has changed drastically, so much so that it's hard for me to find things that used to be. I went back home to the state, not only the state, the town that I was from, and I went to the place that I grew up, and like, oh, everything changed. It always changed, and like, just there wasn't anything that was really there that I remember growing up, and as a matter of course, as a matter of fact, I live in this little tiny state here, where it's a tradition of naming things or naming spots or businesses or attractions after what it used to be. Literally, they wear their history on their sleeve. I said on the chest, but on their sleeve. Although kind of they do wear it sort of on the chest as a badge. If you have not been here around long enough for any length of time, you won't know how to get anywhere now. So if you don't know where the Shaw's Pit is, you won't know what, Shaw's is gone. Shaw's was a supermarket. It was there for a while, then they closed, and like, if you don't know where the Shaw's Pit is, you're not going to be able to find anything else. Even though there's businesses that are still there that were there then, you're not going to know what it is. So the transition from analog to digital, that's another big element. It's not just, it's touched everything, right? Everything. Transition from analog to digital, concomitant, that means at the same time, with the necessary power demands, has revolutionized, changed the world in which I grew up. It seems that a payphone or a phone booth is now gone, although it was a commuter staple back in the day. Back when I first got my driver's license, there were payphones all over the place, public payphones, and that's how you called while you were out on the road. And they were all over the place. Well, now everyone has a cell phone, a cellular phone. Cell towers have taken the place of payphones. Right? Uh, there's one in every neighborhood, but the phone booth, it's gone. And then it used to be like a kiosk, and not so much a booth, um, a little kind of bubble, and then they did away with that. Uh, so these are, it's like a lot of other terms that are from my youth, and phrases and terms and things that from my youth growing up that are gone. And even things that are from when I was really young that I knew that, even in the course of a few years, 10 years, are gone. By the time I get 10, 11, we're just no more. I grew up in 1968, or, I was born in 1968, so the early 70s had stuff going on that just never happened. It just didn't, you know, things didn't, from that time, you just didn't know about them anymore. Now, they're just a certified, I mean, one of those things even is a manual typewriter. I grew up with a manual typewriter with glass keys, right? I saw one of them in an antique store. Like, that doesn't make me feel, it doesn't make me feel young. It makes me feel quite old, actually. So, within the course of my life, a number of things have changed, and they're even still changing now. And just with the move toward the analog, toward the digital, and not moving backward, it's the things that are backward compatible now are getting further and fewer and further in between. Um, all right, so I don't know, we're kind of come. This one isn't the long section. So we'll get through this, and then I'll play some music, and then we'll be done this round. I don't know. It's still raining out. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I may just go back to sleep. I don't know, take some meds and go back to sleep. All right. So as I just sort of kind of did, after going through a rather extensive list of what was replaced by what is, we realize we ain't in the old world. Right? They're not working with stone anymore, whereas 100 years ago they worked with stone easily. Now they have bricks and mortar, and it's just they don't use stone. They use cement and bricks. They cast stone. They don't go out in the field and get it, or and they do, but for that's marble veneer. They use marble and stone as veneer, as surfacing, or as countertops, and not as building material. I'm not sure if that really means anything. If you know this, can just picture the significance of what that actually means. That they take a mountain down and turn it into a veneer or marble countertop rather than use it to build a building. And buildings get built with cement, which is poured into a mold. Right? We're not in the world we used to live in, among other things, right? And this is the point I'm making as far as the death of the old. Among other things, the overexuberance of toxins and forever compounds, radioactive waste, and spelled it the right way, etc., is changing the world in which we live, physically, physiologically, chemically, energetically, spiritually, whatever you want, whatever metric you choose. The entire genetic code for all life begins to mutate. And so you can say, I don't know what I'm talking about, right? As the magnetic field goes down, as our magnetic field weakens and slacks, goes loose, and the ionosphere slacks and weakens and becomes thinner, our protection becomes thinner and weaker, and it lets in more of this crude plasma that hits us directly, it mutates us, mutates the genetics, the DNA of the plants, the animals, the humans. We see more genetic mutations on a wide range, uh, where, yeah, your 12 strand is DNA is coming online, but not without a few glitches. I don't know a better way to put it, but mutations. And so this is one of the things that they have been introducing to you for the last 30, 40, since my lifetime. The zombies, the 50s, radioactive spiders, all this stuff, like the creature feature. I'll put it this way. Channel 20, what was it, 27 out of Worcester growing up. Every Saturday they had the creature double feature. All right, so what do they have? Godzilla, Mothra, the War of the Gargantuas, the giant spider, radioactive spider. And these are B-rated movies. These aren't, like these were not uh, the A-list movies. These were, like the creature double feature movies, right? But they're these huge, there were also alien invasion movies like that as well. But the creature double feature was largely these, giant rats or giant crabs taking over. Some of it may seem laughable. Ha ha ha. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is, they've been inundating you with this for all the time that I've been alive, and most of those movies, the creature double feature movies, were in black and white. Rodan, I think that got colorized. There was a few versions of Godzilla. There was the giant spider one, which was 1958. I think they made that. I can't remember the name of that. And that's just before I was born, right? 1968, we start talking about the mutants. Peter Parker, I wrote a thing about this somewhere, about the mutants and what we're looking at before your angelic 12-strand DNA is inactivated. You yourself have to be an angelic person. It of itself is not automatically going to go online if you yourself have not done the proper necessary work. If you yourself have not done the proper necessary work and the proper necessary clearing, all of that crap that you're holding on to, that's what gets mutated, and that's the Rodan, the Mothra, the Godzilla, the Gargantuas, right? The lesser than DNA that should have been cleared out didn't get, and so now that's what you're left with. That's what you get stuck with of having mutated. The good stuff that you would have wanted to cull out, that you had to cull out, that you had to winnow through, that you had to physically sort your way through, you didn't do. That's what the wheat between the clearing the wheat from the chaff is. The cutting the chaff, the chafing room, the threshing room. Like that's what that is for, going through the clearing. If you haven't done that, if you've avoided it in your way and not done the proper clearing work, you can't expect that the mutations that you're getting are going to be the angelic kind. And that just doesn't compute. There is not a logic there that follows through consistently. If you haven't done the work, if you yourself haven't culled that and cultivated that and worked toward it, you ain't getting it. If you didn't work for it, you're not getting it. You didn't earn it. It's not yours. Your what is yours is the crap of the rest of the 94% of the DNA, the junk DNA that you ignored through your, always just be positive. Like just we don't think about that. Don't look at it. Don't review it. Don't observe it. No. So from your not observing it, from your refusing to see it, you're refusing to understand it, you're refusing to clear it and do the necessary clearing work of that. This is for the rest of the society. Because you refuse to do your part in that, you don't get to ascend, right? Just being the positive toxicity that a lot of people have, this delusion of that if you just stay positive, blah blah blah, when the negative was given for you to observe and to do something with, to clear it, and transmute it. Right? So what it was given to you for, to see, to do something with. And by you, no, you've robbed yourself of a beautiful, wonderful gift. That, I think, is the best way to put that. But the mutation that you receive is not going to be of the angelic variety of which you seek. This coupled, so the weakening magnetic field and all of that, and the residents of the planet, especially the unhinged ones and the unfounded ones, opening themselves up to whack job energy, this coupled with the weakening magnetic field, more cosmic rays, ionizing radiation. It's not what you want. If you're not doing the work for it, you don't want ionizing radiation. It's really not actually really good or preferable for a person's soundness of health. Arriving to the planet's surface for her being the planet, for Gaia, and not necessarily for you, we see an uptick in mutations across the board, or, right, and certainly DC and Marvel, all these comic books and all the publishers and the entertainment industry, they're not bombarding you with mutants for no good reason, right? It's no longer entertainment. It's at this point a message. Yeah, like this shit's not entertainment. It's not entertaining. It's a message. You're being billboarded. You're being shown what to expect. You're not being entertained. You can call it entertainment. I would think somewhere a smile and a laugh would be in there for entertainment, but that's not what you're getting. You're getting a lively discussion on mutations and possible causes of mutations and permutations of timelines, which is maybe equally as much distressing and worth discussing, especially when they talk about this quantum stuff and blah 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 blah. It's not entertainment. Call it whatever you want, but it's not entertainment. It's suggested, it has been suggested to me that evolution applies to rapid transitions in the climate and the planet equally. Mutate or perish seems to be the outcome, right? So either you become some whack job mutant of some sort, or they erase you, cancel you, right? And wokeness is part of a mutant agenda, mutation, right? That's the best way to put it. There's too numerous factors. The factors at work are too numerous at this point, in preparation for the final transition, in order to not see that the previous world is essentially gone. And we can talk more about this, but I want to keep this video for under an hour. So while the planet herself is in preparation of going through her physical transformation. By this, I refer to the magnetic excursion we're on the cusp of. All right. So, yeah, it's just time. And I can go into more factors. I do. I will talk about it. That's kind of what this is kind of bringing everything into a discussion with you, everything onto the kind of table so we can see it and discuss what's going on and learn to kind of how to deal with all this stuff. So I think at 55, I'm going to play some music. So I'm going to bring this all the way to an hour and end it at now. All right. So with your permission, and I'll make sure that the volume is turned up this time.